Let's bring in Florida Republican Congressman Byron Donalds now. Congressman, good to have you here today. So what do you believe so far this hearing has revealed?
It's actually confirmed a number of things. Number one, the policy or ethical or legal ground Twitter had for suppressing the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop was flimsy. It was thin. There was no basis. Number two, they were going back, and a lot of these executives were relying on the perceived Russia collusion back in 2016, which we all know was not Russia collusion, but that's what they were looking at and standing on. Number three, you can see from some of their own personal tweets the animosity they had for the former president. But the biggest thing that also came out is there was definite collusion and working back and forth between the Biden campaign and people at Twitter about various tweets that they wanted to suppress, including the New York Post story itself.
In quite another remarkable moment, as Jonathan Turley points out, in this hearing on Twitter censorship, Rep. Raskin and Democrat witness Navarrete have argued that Twitter did not censor enough, Congressman. Turley writes that is a chilling message given the message censorship program at that company.
Well, listen, I will tell you, that's nothing new for Jamie Raskin. This is also the same member who, along with the former chair of this committee, Carolyn Maloney, had no problem trying to get the oil executives to basically pledge never to spend any money against climate change. They wanted them to pledge that in the committee hearings. So that's nothing new. The scary part is that you do have people at Twitter, namely the Democrat witness, who thought they didn't go far enough. She obviously wants to go much further than that, and that has a chilling effect on the American people being able to have their voices heard, especially in the middle of a political election.
AOC, as Turley also points out, just called the Hunter Biden story a half-fake story. He says it's not clear what half of the story is considered fake. Here she is in her own words, however, Congressman, claiming that Republicans are weaponizing this committee. Listen.
They've dragged a social media platform here in Congress. They're weaponizing the use of this committee so that they can do it again. It's just an abuse of public resources.
So, Congressman, are Republicans weaponizing this committee?
No, we're going through the investigative process the way it should actually happen on Capitol Hill. I mean, look, like I said, last Congress, we had 6 hearings on the Washington Redskins. I know they changed their name to the Commanders, but as far as I'm concerned, they're still the Washington Redskins. You had hearings on that. No congressional real authority to do so, but they were doing it anyway. What we're seeing from Ocasio-Cortez and other members is they cannot defend the actions at Twitter. The actions at Twitter were reprehensible. The potential pressure coming from the DNC, the Biden campaign, elements of the FBI are completely irresponsible and outrageous. And so this is the leg they have to stand on. They want to argue weaponization. But, you know, they had a whole other set of committees last Congress that did the very same thing they're accusing us of right now.
You know, a lot of moments here. This is Congresswoman Mace when she had the opportunity to grill one of the Twitter executives on censoring doctors during the COVID pandemic. Listen to this moment.
Where did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter had the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals.
You silenced those voices.
What was your takeaway from that moment, Congressman?
Honestly, I thought it was powerful. Congresswoman Mace did a phenomenal job, and it demonstrates the level of collusion that we're looking at. In some respects, she's foreshadowing other committees to come, because what's crystal clear is that you have people at the CDC, at the White House, other agencies who are constantly talking to Twitter about locking down information from some of the most educated and well-known doctors in our country, people whose credentials are second to none, better than Dr. Fauci, and they were shut down by Twitter. And so what the execs told us today is that inside they had a culture that was more than fine of siding with the Democrats to shut down information they thought was problematic for Democrat narratives and Democrat policy.
One more exchange on the Hunter Biden laptop story, going back to Jim Jordan. This was earlier, and he had the opportunity to grill one of the Twitter executives about censorship of that story. Listen to this.
Why'd you take it down?
The company made a decision that found that it did violate the policy.
It wasn't my personal judgment at the time that it did, but the decision was communicated to me by my direct supervisor, and ultimately I didn't disagree with it enough to object to it.
You know what? I think you guys wanted to take it down. I think you guys got played by the FBI.
Quite an explanation there from the Twitter executive whose title is the head of trust and safety, Congressman.
Listen, it was phenomenal what Jim Jordan did. The openness upon which they said, yeah, we didn't think we should have did it, but we did it anyway, was outrageous to me. The New York Post is one of the longest running newspapers in the history of the United States. If their articles can't be published in social medias, whose can? And that's the problem that we have, because they decided to pick and choose the information they felt was not relevant to be displayed to the American people. That reeks of tampering with an election way more than some Facebook ads by the Russians in 2016 ever could have done.
Byron Donalds joining us live there from Capitol Hill. Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Anytime.